Hello, welcome to Fresh Check Day Mood Matters. How's everybody? How are you, Bob?
I'm good, Maya. Happy,
Awesome.
happy.
Awesome. The purpose of this booth is to raise awareness about anxiety disorders, mood disorders such as depression, bipolar, and anxiety disorders. So today we're going to give a little bit of information. We're going to play a game, Never Have I Ever Self-Care Edition, where we explore different methods of self-care and resources that you might not have thought of to help manage your mood. And then we'll also encourage you to take an anonymous anxiety or depression screening, and we'll show you exactly how to get there. And also afterwards, there will be a post-event survey where you can win some awesome prizes or a $20 Amazon gift card, stress kit, and your name will be put in a hat to potentially receive a Kindle and other items as well. So my name is Maya Pittman. I'm a staff counselor in the Counseling Center, and I'm also the coordinator of Outreach and Intercultural Affairs. And one of my biggest observations about college students and their mood is the recognition that they have everything inside of them to manage their mood. And a lot of times college students don't know that. They kind of think that thoughts and emotions are things that they control, that they can control, when in actuality, it's all about finding different skills and tools to manage those things that come into our minds that we can't control. And so my biggest observation is that many students are walking around not knowing that they have all the tools in their toolbox to help manage their mood.
Hi again, I'm Bob Morfitt. I'm the Associate Director at the Counseling Center. And I guess my biggest observation about college students and their mood and mental health is how resilient they are. How they, as Maya said, to kind of follow up what she just stated, is that they really do learn key strategies and ways to moderate their mood and anxiety, a lot of which has really been, especially the anxiety issue, pushed a button recently, right? In the past 6 months with the whole COVID-19 situation. It's raised a lot of people's anxieties, but I've seen college students really kind of handling it okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about Counseling Center services, if I may, for a minute here. So we are doing everything telehealth right now. So that's why we're meeting here today this way and for the foreseeable future. Otherwise, we're in Umstead Hall, which is near the new Student Center. We are free and we are confidential. So when a student turns 18, we cannot release any information outside of the Counseling Center for any reason unless somebody's of imminent threat to themselves or others. So that means to parents, to faculty, staff, anybody else on campus. Of course, if a student wants us to correlate care with somebody that outside of our office, they would just need to sign permission to do so. So what we see, number one reason people come into the College Counseling Center all across the country, so including ECU, and we do get the aggregate data across the country, is anxiety. So we've already mentioned that. That includes stuff like panic attacks, generalized anxiety, more like obsessive compulsive traits, and might be social anxiety is really key for a lot of college students, and they identify with that one. The number two reason then would be depression, and those have actually flip-flopped in the past 10 years. It used to be depression was number one, and mood disorder, as Maya talked about earlier. Now depression is number two, and anxiety is definitely number one. Again, ECU looks like statistically every other college counseling center across the country. So 41.6% of the students that come into the counseling center identify an anxiety issue as their number one reason. And depression would be 36.5%. And then relationship issues are pretty prevalent as well. That's almost 36%. Of course, those numbers, if you're a little mathematician in you, they do add up to over 100 because obviously some of us present with more than one presenting concern.
Awesome. Thanks, Bob. And I know that's been something I've witnessed, just how I think the moment I got here 6 years ago, it had transitioned to anxiety. And so I think that says a lot about where we are culturally and the different types of things we have access to, like social media and all that good stuff. So I know some of this content may be triggering or you may want to debrief. So I want to share something really quickly, and that is throughout this entire presentation, you'll be able to go to www.helpyourselfhelpothers.org. This is an online screening, especially for Fresh Check Day today, where you can go and you can screen yourself And that's a big part of managing your mood, being able to recognize, okay, where do I fall? So again, www.helpyourselfhelpothers.org. You can get your results. And in the chat to the right, you'll see that we have 3 debrief rooms. So let's say you take your results and it will immediately give you some information about where you stand as far as mood. You can email those results to yourself, or if you need to debrief or consult, you can visit any one of those 3 rooms throughout the duration of the presentation. Okay.
Thanks, Maya. And I'll also add here is that the Counseling Center, we are a multidisciplinary, diverse staff. There's a lot of us, so we are on call 24/7 as well, anytime school is in session. So that would be like now, fall semester, spring semester block or not, and then summer session 1 or 2. And that's weekends and after hours. And then up until 5, we have screeners. And as Maya just articulated, every day to see students that have more of an urgent type of situation going on. Thanks, Maya.
Absolutely. So just briefly, if we could share a little bit of information about mental health. When you think about mental health, it's our emotional, psychological, and that says emotional, but mental well-being. So really want to think about how we're thinking, how we're acting, and how we're feeling. And if you ever visit the Counseling Center, you'll know that we really assess for biological contributing factors, overall life experiences, and family history, and know that all of these things can definitely contribute to your mood. And with everyone watching that out here, know that mental illness does not discriminate by your background or race, but access to care might. So the great thing about ECU is that we have free services for all fully enrolled students, whereas maybe if you're back home or you're somewhere where you can't access us, you actually can have access to care while you're in college. The other thing is just briefly what stress is, because a lot of times we think it's one thing, or we mix up what stress and anxiety is. When stress is really a reaction to any stimulus that disturbs our physical or mental balance. So that feeling where you may feel a little bit off kilter, which we may have had a lot of this year, that would be considered stress. And then when a person perceives that the demands or the things that they need see the resources or the things that can help them, stress can go through the roof. So we want to be in tune with all of the resources available to us and make sure that we're getting in contact with them ahead of time so that when we run into stressful situations, we're able to really move forward on that. And remember that life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you respond to it. But the good news is there's some good stress. So I know we're talking about mood, that can bring us down a little bit, but good stress allows us to be focused, feel energetic and alert. It pushes us through situations that we find valuable and we want to get through, and it gives us extra strength to defend ourselves. So we want to encourage everyone to recognize when stress stops being helpful, and that's when it can start causing major damage to our health, of course, our mood, because mood matters, productivity, relationships, and overall quality of life. So again, we encourage you to take that online screening, and we'll share that again in the post evaluation after this presentation. Okay, just a couple of more things about mood, especially as it pertains to college students. 1 out of every 4 college students suffers from some sort of mental illness. 44 to 50% of American college students report having symptoms of depression and or anxiety. That's why we're screening for that today. And then 75% of college students do not seek help for mental health problems and concerns. So let's think about that. This is a real serious issue. Anyone is susceptible to experiencing some sort of mental health challenge, which can develop into an illness. And so we want to be aware of that for ourselves and others. And in terms of mood, let's separate anxiety and depression before we get into our game. First off, some anxiety is completely normal. We know that that's going to show up and we can be open to it. Anxiety warns us. It's a signal that says, hey, we need to pay attention or we need to take action. So there's a way where we can understand everyday anxiety from maybe an anxiety disorder. So first, every day is when we may worry about things like paying bills, landing a job. Whereas when that turns into a disorder, it becomes constant. It causes significant distress and interferes with daily activities and daily things we have to do in our life. Another aspect of everyday anxiety is self-consciousness in awkward situations. Some things are just awkward and they don't feel comfortable, and that's okay. But if you find that you start avoiding social situations due to fear, you step back and maybe begin isolating yourself, that's also something you may need to look more into. And then if we look on down, a big one is that at the bottom, anxiety, sadness, or difficulty sleeping immediately after a traumatic event, that can be something that is appropriate and everyday anxiety. However, if you've experienced a traumatic event and you begin having flashbacks, nightmares, you become emotionally numb, even though it maybe happened months or years ago, that may also be a signal. So we encourage you to check this out. Bob, I'll let you jump in here.
Thanks, man. We really want to stress that we don't want to stigmatize any of this, right? We all deal with these issues. Maya gave the statistics a few minutes ago, and it's okay. We all have anxiety. We all have stress. We all have moods that might fluctuate in time. In the counseling center, I think we really focus on and do a good job at not stigmatizing these issues. So I always fear that some people don't come in because they don't want to, be labeled as that. We don't believe in labeling, right? So we address these openly, and we really do address these well with students. We're good with students, and we seek them just to help improve themselves. College is the time to thrive, right? And working through these issues, especially when it's free, to say that again is just an ideal opportunity for students to seek these services.
I agree, Bob. And a couple of facts that we've been able to get from college stats and NAMI, mental health organization, is that 80% of college students feel overwhelmed by their responsibilities as a student. So you're absolutely right, Bob. We don't want to stigmatize this, but we do want to highlight the fact that with that 80% of college students that are feeling overwhelmed, 67% of college students don't seek treatment. So we want to encourage you to know that, again, the majority of college students, because this is such a tough time, are experiencing some sort of distress, and you can get help for that. So we've gone through these. We're going to skip on by and hit on depression, which Bob highlighted earlier. Used to be number one and has switched to number two. And this is common, but it's a serious mental health issue. And depression is a mood disorder, again, that causes the persistent feeling of sadness, loss of interest. If you go on that online screening and you screen yourself for depression, you'll see that they'll ask you things about how long you've been experiencing sadness, how much of the activities you've enjoyed you've really stepped away from. And they may refer to depression as major depression or major depressive disorder, and it completely affects how you feel, think, and behave or feel motivated. So we want to be aware of depression as well. You may have trouble doing normal day-to-day activities, and depression can make you feel as if life isn't worth living, but we want you to be here. And we know that the counselors in the counseling center want to help you manage and get to the place where you want to be here as well. So again, we encourage you to utilize that and listen to your body. A great way to assess your mood is to think about the signs and symptoms of depression and anxiety. So think about lightheadedness, shortness of breath. If you find some stiffness or tension, headaches, chest pain, you can see all these physical symptoms can be found in the body, which means you have the tools to assess if you need help. So we encourage you to look into that headache that's maybe lasted a little bit too long, or that upset stomach that shows up every time you think about coming on campus, and look into that even if it's a mental health check-in. And when we think about thinking, acting, and feeling, as we were mentioning, there are some other symptoms you can look for. So inability to concentrate, irritability or moodiness. Bob, I don't know if you recognize anything in students, but for me, during exam time, I noticed a lot of students come in and start talking about how irritated they are with their friends and they really don't want to talk to anyone. And that is an emotional symptom that something else can be going on. So are there any other things in these areas, Bob, that you recognize that students maybe push to the side or don't realize is an indicator that they could maybe be dealing with some mental health challenge?
Absolutely. A sense of loneliness and isolation, agitation. People just, in next to that, it's the inability to relax. And that, you're right, it does kind of ebb and flow during the course of the semester. And as I look at these symptoms, a lot of these go along with the old symptoms for both depression and anxiety, right? I mean, anxiety and panic attacks, some of the symptoms you see are difficulty breathing, tight chestedness, anxiety or racing thoughts. And with depression, you see moodiness. Some people, when they're depressed, they feel sad, but yes, other folks, I mean, it could go back and forth, feel irritable, angry, right? They have a hair trigger. They're more likely just to stay in bed all day, or just not want to tackle their homework at the time because they're not in the psychological mood or state in which to do so.
Absolutely. Thanks, Bob. And I did, just for a moment, as Bob was speaking, going ahead and flashing again, check out helpyourself.helpothers.org throughout this presentation. You can really do an online screening and those results will come right back to you. So as we wrap up, there's a way to reduce stress. And what we're going to be getting into is self-care. So we're going to give some suggestions about self-care, but we want to encourage you to think about the fact that self-care isn't forced. It's meant to refuel you. And sometimes it may have to be planned, so thrown on your schedule along with other things. You can also talk to others and make connections, just to, again, hinge on what Bob was talking about, which is that many of us are experiencing these. No one is exempt from the experience of stress. So making connections is a great way to help us destigmatize and think about what you need to get assistance. Fuel your body with regular exercise, meals, and sleep. Again, when we think about those physical signs and symptoms, this is a really great baseline way to make sure we're starting off on a healthy foundation and we can help reduce our experiences with stress. Go to class, go to class. This is a huge one because, as you know, it can be really stressful when things pile up, when we begin to procrastinate. And so that's one of those tools that we have that we can manage and do something about immediately in ourselves. So let's help ourselves by going to class, doing the things that are on the schedule. And of course, finding an outlet for creative thoughts and energy. Self-expression is an awesome way of self-care. Bob, would you add anything to this?
Yeah, I'd say wellness is an everyday habit that we should all get into and practice. And the beautiful thing about it is once you incorporate it as part of your life, it doesn't feel like practice anymore. It doesn't feel like you have to use, the term, I use the term incorporate. It just becomes second nature. You do, find a good bedtime or just stop procrastinating as much. You walk, you do yoga, you do meditation. So just implementing it, it really does become easier over time, even though it might feel like a forced habit the first couple of weeks.
Awesome, that's big. So Bob it sounds like he's talking about committing to forming the habits and how that can take a little bit of time on the front end. And of course, maintain positive relationships. I am right across the hall from Bob, and we have very positive interactions all day, which is an essential part of my self-care. So think about the people around you and how they make you feel, and know that that can absolutely impact your mood. So with that said, let's get into some gamage with Never Have I Ever Self-Care Edition. So if we can have anyone who's joining us or anyone who sees this afterwards, Bob and I will chime in with 5 fingers up. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, never have I ever ... done in some form of self-care. So this is going to be informative for us, and it's going to be informative for you to maybe begin building that toolbox that Bob was talking about. So you ready, Bob?
I am ready.
Okay, so I'll start off first, and this is a piece of self-care that I've always wanted to do, but never have I ever gone cloud watching. So if you have gone cloud watching, you can put 1 finger down. Bob, you ever been cloud watching?
Maya, it's funny you said that. I'm red in the face today because it was 82 degrees out yesterday, and I was at the beach, and I was watching the clouds and the waves at the beach. So I could honestly put a finger down from that one from just within 24 hours ago.
All right, sounds good. And I'm at the beach now. This is my form of self-care, visualizing. Okay, so you're up.
Thank you, Maya. Emerald Isle didn't look like the beach you were at, I have to say, yesterday. I will say never have I ever really made it a habit to go just walking for leisure and exercise.
I will say that is a part of my morning routine, just starting off the day with a walk. It gives you good, fresh air. I may throw in headphones and music. Sometimes I may not, but just being out and taking that space and time has proved to be pretty good self-care for me. So I encourage you and anyone else to do that. Throw that in the regimen. Okay, so, oh, this is a good one. Never have I ever gone exploring with a camera.
Then I'm trying to, okay, three fingers. I have to decide what three fingers to throw up. I have, yeah. Even I will include my iPhone as a camera here too. That's something I absolutely love to do. And if you were to look at my phone, you would see thousands. Of course, I've uploaded it to save it now into the cloud, but I've got thousands of pictures, probably going back as long as I've had an iPhone, which is about 10 years. So I got the next one. Never have I ever burned candles or incense just to relax. I always think it's a great idea, but I've never actually done it.
I feel like I should put down like my whole hand because I am a candle obsessive. What I love about candles is it just sets a mood. And this is mood matters, but even just having the flickering candle light, having the essential oils and smells, it kind of puts you in another place. And is a good way to kind of relax and calm the body. So that is an absolute piece of my self-care routine. I have a candle burning right now. Okay, so I'll pick up. Never have I ever painted something huge. Never have I ever painted something huge like a mural.
I can't take down I can't take down a finger on that one. I never have I ever painted, I can say.
Yeah, like I've heard about how, I know earlier we mentioned how creative expression and things like that can be a great form of self-care. So maybe one of you students watching this or paint something huge, send it over to the counseling center, give us some ideas about what we can do. So yep, haven't done that one.
Never have I ever, again, something I always think is a great idea. Have I ever done what we call old-fashioned saying, spring cleaning? Just went through my house and cleared out the clutter to make things more organized and pretty.
Wow, I have done that. I think COVID-19, I know that's been a huge adjustment for us all. And whereas there's been a lot of people and experiences that have been unfavorable, I think one of the favorable things for me have been being at home. And so I've actually had time to do some spring cleaning. And it definitely makes a difference. And I think you highlight something, Bob, that I was speaking with students about, which is how our environment can have a huge impact on our mood. So even you talking about being at the beach and being in our own home, it doesn't have to be Molly Maid spick and clean, but if it's organized, it can definitely impact our mood. Yeah. Okay. On me, we're almost down to it. Never have I ever, you know, I haven't done this a lot, planted my own garden.
I have a garden. It's not looking so hot right now because the time of year, but I do have tomatoes out there and cucumbers and basil and oregano and parsley. And I grew hot peppers earlier in the year. So that's something I absolutely love. I love to cook too. So that's two things that go well together.
Yeah, that sounds good. Hopefully you can bring us in some good harvest next time to the counseling center.
I hope so. It's my turn. And this is one my partner has tried to talk me into doing forever and drag me along with her. But never have I ever just taken myself to be pampered with a pedicure or a manicure.
It's a great experience. You should definitely go get you some clear nail polish on there. But no, it's really cool just sitting back and kind of letting someone, you know, pamper you for a change. So that's a good one. I encourage you to check that out sometime, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay, I got one down. I'm on your tail. Never have I ever, you know what? I haven't done this, but it's interesting. I see that it's on as a form of self-care, but never have I ever attended a support group.
I have to be careful what finger I put down here, Maya. But I actually have. Yeah, this is part of my graduate school experience. And I really liked it. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot about myself, and I really came to like and appreciate the strengths of the other people in that support group.
Wow, that's awesome.
All right, we're down to it, as you just said.
All
I,
right.
I got to make a distinction with this one because I really do like to cook. But I'm going to say never have I ever really just sat down, stood up, and relaxed and enjoyed baking something sweet for myself as a
Mm,
dessert.
wow. You know what? I'm taking the game. I have done that. Just recently, I made what's called a dump cake, which is where you just dump all the ingredients, throw it in the oven. And it was random. I had the ingredients, so I thought it would be cool to do. So yeah, that's awesome. So congratulations to me.
Good
um,
job.
but no, you gave me some great ideas, and I hope we gave students and anyone else who may be watching this, which this presentation will be available 24 to 48 hours once we close on the Fresh Check Day page. And so hopefully you can check out and get some good ideas in terms of self-care. Would there be anything that you would add or just encourage students to do or others when thinking about self-care activities or how they would engage in self-care even during a pandemic?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just thinking, Miles. So thank you for the prompt because this is a different era than we've ever lived in right now. I guess the last time was 1918 or 1919, and none of us were alive back then. But I would say really reach out to the ones you love, to maybe people you haven't talked to in a while. That can be any means you want. Social media, it could be text, it could be a phone call, FaceTime. Just stay connected right now. I think those interpersonal relations are just really key in having us kind of feel plugged in and feel like we still have relationships that we value.
Very, very true. And even in saying that, Bob, I think a real important fact here is that self-care does not mean that you're choosing between yourself and others, and it does not make you selfish. Because as we have to recognize, once we're taking care of ourselves, it inherently takes care of everything and everyone around us. And so if we could reframe self-care as a selfish act to one that is an essence of self and an essence of those around us, perhaps we'd be a lot more open to engaging in it. Okay, so we're going to wrap up here with just a little bit more information from the Counseling Center. I know Bob had put his finger down for in thinking about support groups. So I want to share just a little bit of the things that we're doing this year in the Counseling Center. Un momento. Okay. Okay, as you can see here, 1 second. Don't you just love technology?
Yes.
Okay, so mindfulness is a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings and mood, thoughts, and bodily sensations. And this is used as a therapeutic technique. So I know this is something that we have offered and hinged on a lot in the Counseling Center. We even have had a 30-minute drop-in hour called Mindful Us. And I think that may be up and running at some point through this. And so please stay aware of our activities on the website to see how you can get in touch with mindfulness, which again is just being aware of the present moment, knowing that our anxiety or feelings of depression can go up when we're maybe in the past or in the future.
Maya, let me put in
Yeah.
a little plug here. You know how high strung I am. Some would call me ADHD, and I'm always going. I have a lot of energy. I have difficulty concentrating on one thing at a time. But I'll put in a plug for mindfulness. 7 to 8 years ago, I really started doing it. I really started practicing it. I do a lot of mindful eating, speaking of doing lots of cooking, and it really has helped me kind of chill out, appreciate the little things better, and really decrease some of my just, my own inherent anxiety. So I definitely put a plug in if you want to learn more about mindfulness. Certainly Google it, go on YouTube, type in mindfulness videos, and you'll click with some of it. And if you don't click with a certain video, just click out and keep going.
I love that, Bob. And on that point, I know sometimes we get students and we'll ask them about mindfulness meditation. On our website, which I'll show you all in one moment, we even have a huge section of apps for iPhone and Android where you can download meditation and mindfulness apps. And a lot of times students will start and they'll say, well, I tried it, but it didn't work. What would you say to those students?
I would say keep trying, and I know it sounds corny, but keep trying it. It took me a lot of practice, right? And again, it gets easier over time. The more you ingrain with it, the easier it does get. And again, some of the videos I find kind of hokey, if I can use that term. So if that's you, just keep looking until something you like really kind of pushes your buttons and you identify with it.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Bob. So keep going. One thing about mindfulness is it is like bodybuilding or strength training. You got to practice and then it will start to show results and start working. So even in thinking about the various things that we have going on in the counseling center, as you can see, we've adjusted to our virtual world. And as we mentioned earlier, stress and anxiety, mood, and feelings of depression go up the moment you feel like your needs exceed your resources. So in other words, when you feel like there's absolutely nothing you can do for how you feel and your mood, that's when stress and anxiety can go up. So some of the things that we have going on, Healing Hearts, that's open to all ECU students. And it's a virtual meeting hosted by counselors at the counseling center, the awesome counselors at the counseling center. And that takes place on Tuesdays from 5 to 6. So check out our website and see how you can get tapped into there. The other one, we're here right now at Fresh Check Day, Mood Matters, and we're so glad that you've joined us or been able to check us out. Sister Circle, this is a group for African-American female students who are having difficulty maybe navigating a predominantly white institution or just want to connect with other women and figure out better ways to navigate this space. And that starts on October 6th. So if you're interested, feel free to contact the counseling center and we can get you plugged in. Let's Teletalk. This says Tuesdays and Thursdays. That was this summer, but right now, Let's Talk actually happens on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And what you can do is sign up for a slot and you'll have 20 minutes for an informal one-on-one consultation with one of our licensed professionals. Transitions Hub, this is a virtual meetup for transfer students. So again, I think one of the biggest things I've seen students experience, Bob, is just having difficulty with connecting with other people. We're kind of confined to our homes and that can be very difficult. So this is a great bi-weekly virtual meetup that is run by one of our counselors as well. Check it out on our website. Healing Space. We know there's a lot going on in the world right now with hate, injustice. This is a political year, and so many things may be coming up. So Healing Space, which the next one actually takes place October 1st at 3 o'clock, is a place for students to come who maybe have had experiences with race-based trauma and to have that support and form connection with others who have similar experiences. And this is past the road to recovery, but the counseling center actually has what's called the CRC, the Collegiate Recovery Community. And if you hang on here, Language Matters, which is up next, is going to be hosted by the director of the CRC, Michael Harris, and he does amazing work for students who may be entering recovery due to substance use issues or difficulty goal setting, get connected and get support during that recovery time. So again, check out our website, learn more about our services and updates about COVID-19. We mentioned that there are apps there that you can help with. In the chat, we have put the online screening for depression, anxiety, and a host of other disorders. And then you can find those upcoming outreach events and programming. And while Bob was talking about myths about counseling, things that still have put us in a place of stigmatizing, we've dispelled some of those myths as well. And you can find all of this on our Facebook page at ECU Counseling Center or Instagram at ECU CCSD. So that's Instagram and Facebook. And then Bob talked about our services earlier, where we're located, how to get tapped in. And that is a picture of our beautiful staff at the counseling center who is here for you. Or self-care that we can leave everyone with.
Thanks, Maya. That was a great overview of our services. I like all those offerings.
Yes, absolutely. And again, it's just so awesome that all of this stuff is free to students and they can use it and get plugged in at any time. And so consider that something, even if you're not sure if you're dealing with something, you can just check in. get an understanding or a well-rounded view of where you are with your mood. So we'll leave it there, and we'll encourage all the self-care in the world. Thank you for joining Bob and I. And last but not least, we want to tell you how to win prizes on the tail end of this. So, okay. So to go to the drawing for Kindle, Fire, door prizes, and t-shirts, complete the booth survey. And at the end of either the live WebEx session, so at the end of Mood Matters, a survey will pop up when the event closes, and that officially closes at 2:30. And you'll be able to complete the survey and your name will be put into the drawing. I also encourage you to do the online screening at that time as well. If you're watching the recorded session, you can go to crw.ecu.edu/2020/09/18, or you can just Google ECU CRW Fresh Check Day and click on the Qualtrics link under How to Win Prizes. Your name will be entered in for each booth you attend. The special code for the Mood Matters booth is Mood 2020. And I'll place that in the chat really quickly in order to let us know that you have indeed attended the booth. The special code for this presentation is Mood 2020. And then lastly, for a chance to win a $20 Amazon gift card, complete the entire Fresh Check Day survey by either texting FCD survey to 860-200-2341 or paste survey.freshcheckday.com into your web browser. Be sure to complete the survey for East Carolina University, and this will be up for 24 to 48 hours if you want to tell friends about how to get tuned in and how to potentially win prizes. So enjoy the rest of your day. Take care, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.